Call this meeting of the Municipal Council to order. Please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, is everybody present?
Will you do a roll call vote, please?
Sure.
All right. Starting with Mr. Delicio.
Present.
Mr. Tavares.
Here.
Ms. Morrissey.
Here.
Ms. Reynolds.
Here.
Vice President Dolan.
Here.
Ms. Holmes.
Present.
Mr. McIntyre.
Here.
Ms. Sawyer.
Here.
Mr. Waterman.
Here.
President Kobus.
Here.
10 councilors present. Mr. Angelo is absent.
Thank you. And will you please read the special meeting notice?
Certainly. March 4th, 2026. Members of the Municipal Council, Todd Kobus, Council President. Councilors, by authority of Article 2, Section 2-7C of the Attleboro Home Rule Charter, I hereby call a special meeting of the Municipal Council as follows. March 10th, 2026, at 7 p.m. in the Council City Hall Chambers at 77 Park Street. The purpose is to approve a joint resolution from the Mayor of Attleboro, the Attleboro Municipal Council, and the Attleboro School Committee to take action within the fiscal year 27 state budget and any time-sensitive matters that may be in front of the Municipal Council. Sincerely, Todd Kobus, President.
Thank you. So with that said, we only have one item before us today for this special meeting, so based on that, we'll need to suspend the rules. So I move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Perfect. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. We are now operating under suspended rules. And with that said, we will recognize Councilor Delicio.
Thank you. Reporting for Finance Committee. Entertain. I entertain a motion to accept the joint resolution of the Mayor, Municipal Council, School Committee of Attleboro regarding FY 27 state budget actions to maintain level services in Attleboro Public Schools to advance long-term Chapter 70 reform resolution.
Second.
Motion is in order.
Thank you. I know everyone has a copy of this, Mr. President. I'm not sure how you want to address it, if you want to read the whole thing or if we've already
No, I
discussed
think
it. It's been
everyone
read out of
has had a
committee.
copy for a while now, and hopefully everyone's had a chance to go through it, yes?
Well, I think this is an incredible piece of, sends quite the message to the state about where we're at with our state funding. When you have the collaboration between this body, the school committee, the mayor, the state delegation, I think it speaks volumes about how important this truly is. I do have my concerns about how, what kind of an impact it'll have on this upcoming fiscal year, but I think it gets a conversation going. There are other communities that have done similar messages, and I think it sends the right message at the right time when we need to make sure that we are protecting our schools. So that's my comments on that, Todd.
I agree. Are there other comments? All right, and just so the public is aware, there are the four main items that we're asking for. Is for the state to help fund in-district school transportation reimbursements, to fully fund and strengthen the special education circuit breaker, to establish and fund the whole child grant program, to invest in student mental health, and then to further strengthen the charter school reimbursement formula. So those are the four main things. We're not asking the state to reopen Chapter 70 this year. We're trying to, the idea of working with the school committee and the state delegation was to try to target things outside of normal Chapter 70 funding, but then to also reiterate that we would like the state to reopen Chapter 70 and look at that. They're supposed to do it every 10 years. Does that make sense? Any other comments? Hearing none, this requires a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Councilor Delicio?
That is all the business for finance, and we will call for a committee meeting later on this evening.
Thank you, and that concludes the business for the full council. I move to adjourn at 7:04.
Second.
All right, motion's in order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. We are adjourned at 7:04, and we can start with the Personnel Committee. Perfect.
I call Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services to order at 7:05. Members of this committee include myself, as well as Counselor Waterman.
Second.
So this evening, we don't have any business for the committee, but we would like to take the opportunity to introduce Lori Dumont. She's the acting wastewater superintendent. So Lori, if you don't mind coming up and just introducing yourself to us. As folks may recall, Tom Hayes, the former superintendent, retired recently, and so Lori is the acting superintendent. So we wanted to take this opportunity just to open the lines of communication. So the intention was really not to talk about a whole lot of substantive things as it comes to wastewater, but if there are sort of big ticket questions that the council has and things that we might want to do some additional homework on or follow up on, I think that might be appropriate to bring that up. But again, purpose of this is really just to introduce Lori, so
Hi.
take it away.
Hello.
I'm Lori Dumont. I've worked for the city of Attleboro for about 7.5 years. I was the lab manager. I got promoted to assistant superintendent last July, and then Tom retired in January, so I'm acting in the interim until we figure out who can be the superintendent. So that's basically me in a nutshell. If you have any other questions for me, though, like, I live in Attleboro. I've lived in Attleboro for 20 years, so.
Lori, can you talk, I know I asked you a little bit about this before the meeting, but the role of, I believe there's a consulting company, right, that wastewater's working with to provide some level.
We have CDM available to us. They have a woman that is willing, she will come in for about 2 days a week if needed. I haven't really tapped into it much. She's very knowledgeable about wastewater, but fine tuning it to our specific plant is a little difficult because she doesn't know the plant inside and out. Bill Johnson, who had retired in July, has been doing 8 to 10 hours of consulting work a week with me to kind of get me caught up. He knows the plant, he knows what he did for budgeting, stuff like that. So he's been very helpful in getting me up to speed.
Okay.
Tom retiring was a little bit of a curveball, but that's okay. I'm treading water.
That's good to know that resource is there.
Yeah.
Well, I'll bring it up because you might not. I'll toot your horn. I know you're doing a lot of work there in wastewater. So please, for the benefit of the rest of the council, if you could just talk about the job you're doing now plus all of the other things.
So I was the lab manager. We extended an offer to somebody. He hasn't started yet though, so I've been kind of also doing administrative stuff for the lab manager job as well. So I do their reporting and all of that, and then I do assistant super and then super stuff. So I have many hats.
Yes. Yeah. No, we're grateful for that.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments from committee council? Yeah.
Thank you. Very nice to meet you, and thank you for everything you're doing. I know it's a thankless job, but we do realize here how important you all are and how hard you all work. So we appreciate it very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, ditto.
Yeah. Ditto, ditto.
Yes. Well, thank you, Lori.
Awesome.
Appreciate you coming
Thank
down.
you. It was nice
Thank
meeting
you.
everybody.
Thanks, Lori.
Thank you.
Yep.
Keep those hats on.
All right. I don't see any other guests for this committee. So that being said, I would call for an adjournment at 7:09.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
I'd like to call Public Works to order at 7:09. And I do have one motion tonight, but we'll be hearing from Mike Tyler, the DPW superintendent. So we'll have Mike, the floor is yours if you want to come on up. So Mike's going to talk about the storm, the snow removal, and everything else his department is doing. Thanks for coming, Mike.
Good evening, Councilor Dolan, members of the City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight what I think is an important subject that needs to be talked about. I think, as most of you know, I'm not very good for reading from my notes. I'm better off kind of ad-libbing and speaking, but this is kind of a little too important. I need to stick to the script to make sure everything I want to get out there gets out there. I'm sure there may be plenty of follow-up questions after, so I'm going to try to answer the majority of those in this. It's not that lengthy, but it's a little more lengthy than I'm normally doing in front of the council. So again, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the accommodations, Councilor Dolan. So, I'd like to talk about the February 22nd, 23rd of 2026 blizzard. The blizzard was historic in nature and very compatible to the blizzard of '78. Attleboro received over 32 inches of snow and even higher amounts in areas of snow drifting. The blizzard was also accompanied by high winds and near whiteout conditions for many, many hours. That made snow removal operations extremely challenging and dangerous. A storm of this magnitude will push all available resources to their limits, which it did. From the beginning of the storm, we mobilized every resource at our disposal, right? All citywide snow removal employees and private contractors were on the job hours before the blizzard started, and many hours, long hours, after the snow stopped falling. The following is a list of the cities and private contractors' equipment utilized during the storm. 63 trucks with plows, 18 loaders, 4 backhoes, 8 skid steers, 4 10-wheelers for snow hauling, 9 triaxles for snow hauling, 13 trailer dumps for snow hauling, and MEMA also provided the city of Attleboro with 2 sheriff's deputies with Ford F-250s 2 days after the storm. That was what we received for assistance. So this is just a little bit more clarity on what we do for operations. The sole purpose of clearing snow off of the city's roadways during a snowstorm, and especially blizzard like this, is to keep the roads accessible for public emergency vehicles. It is not for the public to access the roadways and maintain their normal day-to-day schedules. That is not what we're trying to accomplish. I was told by our public safety heads, Chief LaChance and Chief Hagan, that no calls went unanswered for emergency services during or after the blizzard. Were many vehicles got stuck? Yes, they did. Ambulances, fire trucks, police cruisers, we all assisted. Oh, we pulled everybody out as much as we could. We tried to keep everything moving. Extremely difficult conditions to do so, right? Again, no calls were missed. That's a great kudos and a hats for all the city employees for that. I am not going to stand before you, or sit before you, and tell you that everything went according to plan, right? Multiple streets went unplowed for long durations, and this is not acceptable in any event. All snow removal procedures, plow routes, staffing levels, and other variables will be reviewed for their effectiveness, and changes will be made to make sure we are performing our snow removal duties with maximum efficiency. That is on me, and I will continue to look myself in the mirror on a daily basis to improve in all aspects of my duties to the city of Attleboro and my public works department. At this time, I would like to make a record clear on city snow removal operations and answer the many questions and rumors circulating through social media. Right? Number one, the mayor or administration told me to limit the amount of overtime and costs associated with the recent blizzard. Right? This is a false statement in all sense of the word. All right? The mayor has never informed me to limit the amount of snow during any storm. She always asks, what resources do you need? So that is a total rumor. 2, I sent home city employees and contractors during the height of the blizzard, right? Also a false statement. I did not send anyone home during the blizzard. At the height of the blizzard, I directed my general foreman to call all pickup trucks and 1-tons off the roadways. This was due to the fact that these vehicles were getting stuck throughout the city. At no fault to the drivers, as these vehicles are not designed to push over 2 feet of snow in an efficient manner without causing excessive damage to the vehicle and exhausting the employee as well. We were spending too much time pulling trucks out of snowbanks with heavy equipment. The heavy equipment was needed to perform snow removal during this time, and it was critical to resume those snow removal operations with the heavy equipment. These employees, contractors, were not sent home. They were told to get some well-earned rest until we could get the heavy equipment to open the roadways, and then the pickup trucks and one-tons could be redeployed to resume their snow removal duties. I emphasize this because if we break everything, and then by the time it stops snowing, we have nothing to do, perform the duties with. So it's critical that we make the calls. If there's one call I could have made better, I would have went to Plan D from Plan A at a sooner time. There would have been less stuck vehicles. We would have got less done, but it probably would have been safer for all aspects. Okay, that's on me. Attleboro didn't pre-treat their roadways before the storm. That's a true statement. Attleboro does not currently use roadway pre-treating products, also known as brine. We are depending on straight rock soil once snow starts falling. The cost of the brine making equipment is around $80,000 and requires inside storage of the brine making machine along with outside storage tanks. Brine can be sprayed on roadways up to 3 days before an event starts. That is the plus of the brine. Attleboro doesn't clear sidewalks in an efficient manner. Falls. We have always cleaned high priority sidewalks after a storm and the downtown, but our roads must be clean before sidewalk clearing can commence. It doesn't make any sense to do anything opposite of that. Our first priority is clearing sidewalks in a 1 mile radius around every school to accommodate the numerous student walkers. Our second priority is clearing snow around the downtown, then moving on to secondary side streets. Attleboro does not and never has cleared all of the 100+ miles of city sidewalk. We do not possess the manpower required to do so, or we do not accomplish this feat, Attleboro currently has 6 city-owned sidewalk clearing machines, 4 trackless machines, and 2 ride-on vent tracks for narrow sidewalk areas. The city also employs a snow removal contractor who can provide 5 additional sidewalk clearing machines with operators as needed. In closing, I'd like to recognize all the hardworking city employees and contractors who gave it their all during the recent event. They are true assets to the city, and we are very lucky to have them. I would also like to thank the following companies who offered their services to the city during and after the blizzard. Without their assistance, we would not have achieved the objectives we had set to accomplish. These companies are Waltz Contracting, Burrow Sand and Stone, Seawaltz Construction, Seacont Gas and Repair, Cryan Landscaping, Peter Wood, and Harrison Trucking. Lastly, and most importantly, as I stated earlier, I will constantly look at myself in the mirror on a daily basis to look for ways to improve in my work and personal life as well. I do believe there are a number of citizens that need to take the same approach. The amount of threats and other means of intimidation aimed at our employees and stormwater contractors was mind-boggling, to say the least. I use the word mind-boggling, and I could put many nouns in there, many adjectives and many adverbs. But since we're on a family network, I will keep that to myself. I do not understand, for the life of me, what was going on. We are performing our duties to assist the residents of our community and to restore a sense of normalcy as quick as we possibly can after a historic blizzard, and we are being threatened. I just don't understand that thought of mine. At the height of the threats, Chief Hayden had a police cruiser dispatched to Public Works facility, fearing for the worst. In my 42 years of snow removal, and almost 30 years on the municipal side, I have never seen this happen. I don't know where we're headed. I really don't. Again, mind-boggling. I would also like to apologize once again as a Public Works Superintendent and resident of Attleboro to my new office manager, Megan Hickey. Yes, this is the Megan Hickey whose name was plastered all over social media to report any and all concerns to her, whether or not it was email or voicemails. Over 1,800 emails, almost 900 voicemails. You wouldn't want to listen to what some of them were saying. But to Megan, I will say, I'm sorry, lost my train of thought there. I'm sorry for the disrespect that you had to endure during the recent blizzard. You hung in there like a true warrior from the beginning to the very end of the storm, and you held your head high and above the abuse. No one deserves to be treated like that performing their work duties or life duties in general. Again, my personal apologies, Megan, as you are a true asset to the city of Attleboro, and we're all proud to have you on our Public Works team. And that, Councilor Dolan, concludes my presentation.
Thanks. So, I didn't know anything about the threats until you and I talked the other day. I was unaware of that, and clearly I'm sure that everybody sitting here finds that completely unacceptable. You know, and I know that you and the administration and other department heads like public safety had a meeting to see what went wrong, what we could do better. And there's always room for improvement with anybody's job. But I got to tell you, and I know I've told you this 1,000 times, Mike, I have the utmost faith in you. This, to me, this was a huge storm. And I know that there were plow drivers out there that were nervous. I mean, it was whiteout conditions. People couldn't see. And, you know, I know the public doesn't really understand the inner workings of the city and what people do with their jobs and how they accomplish what we see on the roads. But there has never been a time in my 8 years here, almost 9 years, that there's nothing that I've requested of you that you have not done and done immediately. So, you know, when you say you look in the mirror and you know, you realize that some things didn't go right, you know, I don't feel that way. Everybody has room for improvement, and no matter what they do for their jobs. Everybody's sitting here, everybody's sitting out there, but I have the utmost respect for you. I know how hard you work. I know how hard people in the city work, and you know, we don't want people out there in danger. And so I respect you for coming here and, you know, discussing this and taking questions, but I've never doubted you, and I said it before, to my dying day, I don't doubt that you work hard and you always want to do what's right for the city as an employee and as a resident. So with that, I'll open it up if anybody would like to say anything. Council Sawyer.
I can see how emotional you were, and I know you work really hard. And I want to just thank you and applaud you for both you and Megan for what you did and how you got the roads done and safely. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Look, we try. I hope, you know, when I talk about roads being missed, I just want to give you an example. Right? I have pictures on my phone of me driving in the middle of that blizzard. Right? All I could see was the plow in front of me. I could not see the truck that I was following. I could not see it at all. So in those conditions, and the snowfall rate, such accumulation, everything's covered, street signs, everything. So if you went by a street once and you went by it twice for whatever reason because you weren't sure that street, that's how it got missed. Right? It's at some point with 32 inches of snow, it will not look like a roadway. It will not. The only way I could keep my pickup truck on the road was making sure I stayed between the telephone poles. Not a best way to drive in the world. Hopefully the poles where they're supposed to be. So I'm just trying to relate what we've seen out there. Very, very dangerous. As I said, unless you were born before 1970, you've never seen anything like this. And there is lessons that are learned. There is lessons that are learned. There's no doubt about that. And that's on me. It's my department to run it, and I will run it until I'm taken out of the seat. So, again, I thank you for this thing, but I just want you to realize when I say missed roads, it wasn't because of things, it's because of the actual conditions.
Councilor Reynolds, did you have a comment or a question?
I do. First of all, Mike, I love the work that you do, and I know how hard you work and how everybody there works hard too. And I was born in time for 1978, so I know what kind of a blizzard that was. And I know I was a school teacher at the time, and we had 3 weeks out, because one of them was a school vacation week, and then it took 2 to clean it up after because it kept falling. So, and everybody loved it. They loved it. You know, they were out, they were just, you know, getting some fresh air or whatever. But if anybody took the time to look out their window, if you could see out your window, because all of the snow was stuck on the screen, so you could not see the street. But if you ventured out, you could tell the wind. I saw trucks going by trying to come up Fenton Avenue, you know, and had to ignore. You couldn't go down because you wouldn't have come back if you went down Oak Square. But you could see them come down the middle of Fenton, and they couldn't keep plowing. It just was too high. The snow was just too high. Some of the trucks were too small. And I assume some of the drivers might have been new this year, and so they were, it was overwhelming. For myself, I mean, I did get some calls, and I passed them on. I told people I will let Megan know, and wrote an email that was genuinely thoughtful, I think, and not name-calling like some of them were, like screaming in my ear. So I just want to say to everybody that thought it took too long, well, they don't plow. Those people don't plow. Anybody that actually plows during the winter would know that everybody that's out there is doing the best they can, and I just want to commend you for being able to contain yourself when people go absolutely cuckoo for no really good reason. That's all. Thank you.
Does it, Council Delacio?
Thank you. So, Mike, you and I were a couple times throughout the storm, we were in contact. What I'm realizing, more so than I ever have, and we've known each other a long, long time, you're a man of character, you're a man of respect, you're a man of integrity. You didn't have to be here tonight, but you are. Every time I reached out to you throughout the storm, and I reached out to the mayor, and when I heard back from the mayor within 5 minutes on an answer of a concern that we had, the communication was there. I reached out to you a couple times about a couple different streets. And then I heard back from those residents an hour and a half later. They're all taken care of. People were frustrated, and I get it. They weren't able to get to work. They weren't able to get to the store. They didn't have power. I know we lost power for almost a day. This was a historic storm, and you don't have all the tools that you need. No one does to handle that. I think the way you've conducted yourself here tonight, Mike, shows that you are the right leader for this job. You're the right leader for this department at a time that we need it. So I thank you, and it's awful. My day job, my staff goes through some of the worst things that you can imagine. They're being called. It's what happens when you work in public service. It's not right. It's not anything that anyone condones, but Megan didn't deserve that. Saw some of the things you heard from people. Please pass, I think the sentiment here is that we're all supporting you and your department, especially Megan. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Councilor Delacio. I think you bring up a good point, too. I think almost everybody here should have, except there's a couple newer faces here. If you don't have my cell phone number, please outreach for it. You're never bothering me if you're keeping me informed. There's over 200 miles of road. It's hard to see everything, right? So if somebody texts me or calls me, it's kind of hard to take a phone call and in those type of conditions. But please do so. It just makes us, let's just do a better job. The more we know, the more information we have to deal with, the better we can make our decision. So, thank you.
Sure.
I do appreciate you talking about the Monday morning quarterbacking. There's always something we can do better. There's always improvements. Don't beat the hell out of yourself. This was a once-in-a-lifetime storm.
Yeah.
We'll probably have to wait 50, 60 years before we see something like this. But is there lessons to be learned? Of course there are. I think some of the residents brought up some good concerns that we've raised. We talked about it. We had a good conversation. But there's nothing else you could have done. How do you plan for the unplanned? No one expected that. It came out of nowhere. People said, we might get it. 4 days before, people were like, it looks like it's going out to sea. It didn't go out to sea. Thank you.
Does any, Council Waterman?
Well, I just want to echo what's already been said. I couldn't even get out of my driveway for 3 days. So it was very difficult to even imagine what you had to go through out there. I know I got a call on Wednesday morning, and I went over to see the problem because the street hadn't been taken care of. Before I even got there, it was taken care of. That's how quick you were moving on and I assume you had to prioritize the streets. You had to prioritize the streets. I mean, little side streets. You had to. It takes a while to get to all those little side streets.
Right. We had machinery that people haven't seen in the city in a very long time. People also have to remember that there was already 2 feet of snow existing on the ground. It wasn't 32 inches just sitting on bare pavement. So that actually added to the whole thing. It makes you change how you do snow removal. So now you're not in the pushing back position, as you will. You have to remove it. You have to physically truck it and remove it. We have 2 dump sites. in Attleboro, one at Haywood Field and one at Fernberg Field. Those are not gonna melt until July or August. I mean, that's how much snow is there. So, like I said, we used every piece of equipment you could possibly imagine to get the job done, and I don't wanna see anything like that for the rest of my career, to be honest with you. But it's my job to have a plan for whoever succeeds me in place, for them to not fail.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Council Holmes?
Thank you. I'm sorry to hear about the threats. That's awful that she was experiencing that. I know that I was reading a little bit about technology used to know what streets have been visited, or I guess I'm just wondering, after having the discussion, what do you think could have been done differently, or was it a staffing issue? Was it, because I think that it's kind of set up to happen where residents are already mad when they're emailing and saying, my street, and so it's almost like if you guys kind of knew, oh, we've passed that street 2 times, or we haven't gone to that one once, then it would be kind of like you're knowing what's going on versus the residents having to say, hey, this hasn't been done, because they're already upset when they have to do that. And I think garbage removal, snow removal, like these are the things that our residents want to know is secure in the community, and then public safety stuff. So I'm just wondering if anything came out of those discussions at all, or if there's technology that we can use to kind of help with that, or anything. Yeah.
Well, I think, as I stated, it's just, you have to use different techniques, right? We have to review everything. We have to sit down and review everything that went right, went wrong, went indifferent. Some things were avoidable, some things are not. Like I say, the majority of our threats actually came from people when we were pushing back the roadways. I understand that. I understand you had your driveway done and we just came and put 3 feet of snow back into it. That is the nature of the beast. It just happens. It's important for the roads to be as wide as they possibly can, and it's also more critical to make sure we're getting back to the storm drains when we have a forecast of 60-degree weather coming within 4 to 5 days after the storm. So again, I don't, there's criticism that can be aimed at us and everybody. I will say that. I'm proud of the job they did. They did what I asked them to do. Nobody did anything that was something that they weren't told to do or asked to do. Again, I will have more of an update to the city council once I sit down and was able to review everything and kind of let the council know what those changes are going to entail, so we can all know moving forward. I don't know the answers to all of that right now. I just don't.
Does anybody else have any comments or questions? All right, thanks, Mike. Thanks so much for coming down.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
You too.
Okay, so with that, I just have one motion from the docket of March 17th, 2026. I entertain a motion to transfer $14,788.65 from account 1124100057830 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 1420100053034 Public Works HVAC Services for funds to replace the NO2 and CO2 sensors and mass air unit at 101 Lamb Street.
Second.
Thank you. Hold on, my pen's not working. So this is for the DPW building on Lamb Street. So these is, and is Mike gone in case I say anything wrong and he'll yell at me? It's for the CO and NO nitrogen and carbon detectors. There's approximately 10 in the building. They last around 4 years, and you can rebuild them, but they've already been rebuilt once, so they need to be replaced. And that also goes for the the air exchange unit. So that exchanges the air, so there is no CO2 and NO throughout the building, and so that is. So that it needs new assembly bearings, which would require 2 techs, the blower motor, etc., and replacing all the NO and CO2 detectors. Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And that's all I have tonight. I'd like to call for adjournment at 7:35.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you. Yeah. Ty, it's you.
Oh, it's me? Okay. Got a little confused there. Traffic and Transportation Committee does not have any business tonight. We'll meet at the next appropriate time.
So,
All right. Let's call to order the zoning and land use integrity committee at, 7:35, thank you. I have one item to talk about. At the end of the packet, in the docket of February 3rd, 2026, I entertain a motion to approve a zoning petition from 94 County Street LLC to rezone 0 County Street and 92-104 County Street.
Second?
Thank you. I need to read the certificate of vote from the planning board that was received today. Dear Council President and Councilors, regarding the petition of 94 County Street LLC to rezone property located at 92-104 County Street, more specifically Assessor's Plat 32, Assessor's Lot Number 6, from industrial zoning to transit-oriented development zoning. This is to certify that at the planning board meeting held on Monday, March 9th, 2026, the planning board voted unanimously to recommend that the municipal council approve the petition. The planning board is of the opinion that the rezoning of the property to transit-oriented development does not constitute spot zoning, is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, is consistent with the 2007 Downtown Urban Renewal and Revitalization Plan, approved by the Planning Board, Redevelopment Authority, Municipal Council, and the state, is consistent with the mixed-use character of the surrounding area, and that the principal land uses listed in 17-3.4 Table of Use Regulations under the Transit-Oriented Development Zoning Classification of the zoning ordinance, whether by right or by special permit, are suitable. Moreover, the board is of the opinion that the transit-oriented development zoning would yield the highest and best use of the property. Regarding the petition of 94 County Street LLC to rezone property located on 0 County Street, more specifically Assessor's Plat Number 31, Assessor's Lot Number 237, from central business zoning to transit-oriented development zoning, is to certify that at the planning board meeting held on Monday, March 9th, 2026, a majority of the planning board voted to recommend that the municipal council deny the petition. The planning board is of the opinion that rezoning the property to transit-oriented development would constitute spot zoning, as all the properties located with the block bound by 1st Street, 2nd Street, Highland Street, and County Street are zoned central business, as are the properties directly across the street on County Street and those heading north on County Street to the center of the downtown. The board is of the opinion that the subject property maintain its central business zoning classification because it lends continuity to its surrounding properties and to the downtown. In addition, the planning board asserts that the petitioner would be able to make the same proposed improvements on Assessor's Plat Number 31, Assessor's Lot 237, under central business zoning in the same manner as they propose to do so under the proposed transit-oriented development zoning. Regards, Mallory DeLeo, Planning Board Clerk. And due to that, I move to amend the motion to remove 0 County Street off of the motion. So it would read, instead, I entertain a motion to approve a zoning petition from 94 County Street LLC to rezone 92-104 County Street. And in that amendment, I also would add from industrial to transit-oriented development zoning.
Second.
Any questions or comments or concerns about this? And this, we have to do 2 different votes, I imagine, right, here, because we're doing an amendment, and then vote on the amended item.
Just a comment that I have, I agree with the planning board's decision on both the approval and the denial.
Okay. Any other comments from the committee or anybody else?
Nope.
Yeah, okay. So we'll vote on the amendment, which would be, I entertain a motion to approve a zoning petition from 94 County Street LLC to rezone 92-104 County Street from industrial to transit-oriented development.
Second.
Thank you. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 3-0 for the amendment. And then the actual motion would be, yeah, did you have, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I just had comments on the actual motion, so
Oh.
when you're, sorry.
Okay, so voting on the motion next, and if there's a comments or concerns on that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think that President Kobus asked the right question during the public hearing, which is, you know, why can't you continue to use it for industrial? And they said it's just not the right place for it. So this is simply asking for a zoning change, and they own the property. This is what they'd like to do with it. They presented a really great plan that had to do, each apartment that has at least one parking space. I think it was like 1.4 parking spaces, and then the bike. They also had storage for bikes. So to me, this seems like we should support this. I conclude my comments.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, so I'll hold a vote for the motion as amended, which is, I entertain a motion to approve a zoning petition from 94 County Street LLC to rezone 92-104 County Street from industrial to transit-oriented development. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that passes, and that ends the business for the Zoning, Land Use, and Sustainability Committee, and I need to hold any, committee meeting at the next appropriate time, but I'll figure. All right, adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. At what time? 7:41.
Economic development.
Economic Development and Strategic Planning Committee has no business this evening and is canceled.
I'd like to call Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee to order at 7:42. Myself and Council Reynolds. From the docket of March 17, 2026, I entertain a motion to appropriate $527,625 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account fire overtime for overtime funding to cover the full-time staffing for Rescue 4 for the remainder of fiscal year 26.
Second.
Thank you. There was quite a lot of backup with this, and I think that, I have a feeling that the fire chief is probably gonna discuss this more for his budget for next year as well, but he's contributing the main factors to the city in fiscal year 26 requested, we reduced the overtime funding by $30,000. The city reduced fiscal year 26 education and training overtime funding by around $116,000. There was more fiscal year 26 military leave hours, which was higher than historic averages. So these are some of the factors that are leading to this. And he also offered, I really would encourage everybody to read the backup, some alternative options to help kind of modify staffing that can potentially help with the budget. But when he comes down, I think that Councilor Delicio will kind of have, when he has the meetings about budget, we can certainly ask these questions. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That concludes the business this evening, and I'd like to call for an adjournment. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:43. Thank you.
Councilor Reynolds.
The City Property and Claims Committee has no business this evening, so we're canceled.
Okay, I call the License Committee to order at 7:44. Members of this committee include myself, Councilor Waterman, and Councilor Holmes. Tonight we have one piece of business from the docket of February 17th, 2026. I entertain a motion to approve a new Class 2 auto license application from B&A Prime Rental, Inc., 19 Franklin R. McKay Road with 4 storage spaces.
Second.
So he was just here the other night. Everyone was able to hear from him. I actually went by the establishment yesterday. Not the greatest timing. He had a delivery of vans, so the spaces were actually taken up, but those vans were moving out last night. I meant to go by today and double check, but I did not have a chance. But I recommend that we approve his license. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we can vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. That concludes the business for the License Committee. I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
License Committee is adjourned at 7:46.
I call ordinances, elections, and legislative matters to order at 7:46. Members of this committee include myself, Councillor Holmes, and Councillor McIntyre. From the docket of September 2nd, 2025, I entertain a motion to approve the submitted request that a public hearing be required when a tax incentive exemption is requested from the city. And the proposed language is as follows: 2-19.10, public hearing required for tax increment agreements prior to the approval or ratification by the municipal council of any tax increment financing agreement or tax increment exemption agreement. The municipal council shall conduct a public hearing. For purposes of this section, a tax increment financing agreement or tax increment exemption agreement shall mean any agreement authorized pursuant to MGL Chapter 23A, Section 3A, MGL Chapter 40, Section 59, MGL Chapter 59, Section 5M, and implemented in accordance with 760 CMR 66. As amended, the public hearing required by this section shall be held after negotiation of the proposed agreement by the Economic Development Incentive Board and prior to final approval or ratification by the municipal council. Notice of the public hearing shall be published in a newspaper of general circulation in the city prior to the date of the hearing, and shall identify the project sponsor or applicant, the location of the property, and the general nature of the proposed tax incentive. No tax increment financing agreement or tax increment exemption agreement shall be approved or ratified by the municipal council unless the public hearing required by this section has been conducted.
Second.
Thanks. All right, motion is in order. So we held the public hearing on this a couple of weeks back, and I'm glad that we're practically operating as if this is an ordinance, just in practice. But I think it's important for us to formalize this and be able to make sure that the public has an outlet for input when ties or TIFs are proposed to the city. So, any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of September, what a month. From the docket of February 17, 2026, I entertain a motion to amend section 1-9, time and place of municipal council meetings of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro to add the following. 1-9.4, no regular meeting of the municipal council shall be held on any day on which a municipal, state, or federal primary or general election is conducted within the city. Any regular meeting otherwise scheduled for such a day shall be postponed and held on the call of the council president at the next appropriate time, and the meeting shall be treated in the same manner as if the meeting had fallen on a legal holiday.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Okay. So I know I've given comments about this previously, but essentially I think meeting on election nights, in my view anyway, has not been productive. We already have a practice as a council to not hold public hearings, so I don't think it's a step too far to say that it doesn't make sense to hold council meetings on election nights. In fact, the elections division of the state has actually commented on that in particular circumstances, and hasn't outright said it, but doesn't necessarily support communities having council meetings on election night. And from the standpoint of a resident, but also someone who's as we all are, actively involved as civic members of our communities. It happens quite frequently, even on off-year elections for us in the council, right? On even years that we may be helping other folks get elected to various offices, or we may be running for elections ourselves, right? On those off years. And so I think the focus is really elsewhere on a council night. And I think if there's important business to do, a special meeting can always be called, but as a matter of practice, I don't know that this is the most productive. And from my standpoint, I think what we should be aiming for in having council meetings is productivity. So those are my thoughts. Any questions, comments from the council? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes. Okay, so a couple other notes of things that I wanted to talk through. No other business to vote out in committee tonight. Pull up my notes here. Okay, so one is the Charter Study Committee. So obviously we held the public hearing on this. And part of the request from the administration is to engage with a third party. This is the UMass Collins Center, which is a policy center, to help us to formulate and operate a charter study committee. And I think being able to do this, as we've talked about in the past, will provide a lot of flexibility, as the administration has laid out. So I think it's a very good solution, I think, to an otherwise very cumbersome process through a charter commission under the statute. However, it will take some work, right? And so it will be invaluable to have a group that can help us navigate that. And so I don't know if folks had a chance to look at the scope of work that the UMass Collins Center presented, but what I asked, and I had a conversation with Anthony Wilson, who works at the Collins Center, but they're willing to come down to the council and produce a presentation for us to walk us through the process, how it works, the services they provide, and be available for questions. So this is something they're routinely involved in doing in other cities when these sorts of things come up. So I think this would be a great opportunity. So I've taken them up on that. So our next committee meeting in 2 weeks, we're going to have Anthony Wilson come down and talk about some of the services that the Collins Center can offer us. And so I'm hoping that'll be a nice interactive discussion that will give us a framework to hopefully move forward with this. So those are my thoughts there, but just wanted to make sure folks knew about that, so that if you had questions, beforehand, that you can prepare them accordingly. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is the proposed kratom ordinance. So I had a conversation with Representative Hawkins. So, by the way, Councilor Holmes, thank you for sharing this this bill that came on your radar through Jennifer. So this was helpful. So basically, in my conversations with Rep. Hawkins and through some of my research of what the House has been doing, and I should say the Senate too, is there have been several different bills that have been proposed in the legislature of various different perspectives when it comes to kratom. And so basically this House bill, right, this most recent one that looks like it had some activity back in February, looks like it's the result of sort of multiple bills that that have sort of been turned into this amalgamation of this proposed bill that's now going to Ways and Means, which from what I understand means it actually probably has some legs. It might go somewhere, but it might not. You never know. It's the legislature. So, but anyway, the legislature's essentially already consolidated, several bills that they're that they're considering. But a couple things that I wanted to talk about after reviewing probably like 6 or 7 different bills that regard kratom. You can basically divide them up into 2 categories. I think there's probably 2 perspectives on this in the legislature. And from my other research, I think this is pretty common when the kratom debate comes up. But you've got, one camp that's looking at this and says, all right, well, we should just ban this entirely, right, and treat it as a controlled substance. Then there's another camp that says, all right, well, let's allow legal sales, but impose some sort of standards, right? So some sort of semblance of regulation. So right now, the bill that's advanced the farthest reflects the regulation approach. So it looks like the legislature is not inclined to ban kratom as a substance. So I think that's interesting because based on our conversations here in council, I think that's sort of the direction this has been moving. This seems like it's the consensus from folks that the committee has heard from, the council has heard from during public hearings. So that's something that I would like to explore. However, I still do have some hesitation around what we do in making sure that we're not creating more issues. Because I think at the end of the day, this is something that does ultimately need to be regulated at the state. And I think we heard from police chief who made that point quite clearly. However, in the interim, you still have to do something, right? So I think at this point, it would be prudent for us to regulate to the point that we can say, all right, well, if we're regulating the synthetics, right, and saying, all right, let's exclude those and only include the pure compounds, and we can model this based off of things that have been proposed to the legislature, things that other states have considered, other cities and towns have considered, other forms of regulation, boards of health, and not so many other councils. However, that's interesting anyway from my research, but yeah, I mean, if we can treat this as, okay, well, this is a consumer product, we want to build safety around it, right? So making sure that the product is labeled correctly, making sure that the folks who have access to it are the right people, right? So it's over 21. I think it's been mentioned before, this can't be sort of a self-serve type product, right? It has to be behind the counter, things like that. If we can build those sorts of protections in it without an outright ban on a product, which I generally would shy away from personally, and I think that's dubious for for us to look at a product like that and make a judgment. I don't know that we're in the position to do that, but those are my thoughts there. I know this is a bunch of rambling, and I'm trying to put together some of these thoughts here from a lot of different research that I've done. But if we are going to pass any ordinance around kratom, I think it should be to regulate and not ban it. That's really the bottom line. Any questions, comments? Yes. Councilor Dolan.
Yes. Thank you for all that and your research. It's actually before the Boston City Council right now to ban it. Someone actually sent me a video today. And I mean, I don't know what they're considering. I didn't see their committee meeting. I just saw the testimony and such. So I don't know if they're considering a ban, full ban, or regulation. I mean, at a bare minimum, I think we need to do regulation, and I would like to see it go so far as to be in places that are only people that are 21 and over can go to. Because, I know that there was a lot of talk about the 7-OH and the synthetics and stuff like that, but people have died, from the pure leaf as well. So that's concerning to me, and it's concerning to me how addictive it is. So I appreciate you keeping this in your committee and still working on it. I would be more opposed to a complete ban, but, I'm willing to listen to what everybody has to say when the time comes and what the discussion is. But, there's somebody that's always in my ear that says, just because we don't have to wait for the legislator, right? So we can lead on this. We don't have to follow. We can lead on you know, what they're not willing to do or have the time to do or haven't gotten to it, right? So that's my thoughts, and I look forward to, you know, when we discuss it again.
Yeah, and no, those are great comments, and just to follow up to that, I mean, we could act, and the state can always preempt what cities and towns have done as well. So, I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, that's not an argument for not doing anything, but there's certainly always that possibility.
Sure.
Councilor Reynolds?
I was just gonna say that I'm more in line with you to ban the synthetics, keep them out of the retail markets where the kids are under 18 can pick them up, they're not behind the counter. You know, the places that are selling them, that's just the very small amount, you know, people are using it in a good fashion, and they have to be over 21 anyway to purchase it at the places. So, to me, the big deal is the synthetic, the 07, yeah, the H7. Yeah.
Yes.
I just wanted to make a comment that I think that safety is paramount, and that we need to make sure that, you know, things are not going to hurt people that are supposed to help them. So I think that as long as this product, which, you know, I don't even have any idea how people would be using it, I'm sure it's for pain regulation or whatnot, but it would be great to be able to make sure that it's safe however people do use it. And yes, I would be for banning synthetics.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, hearing none, I call for an adjournment at 8:01.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Thank you. I call Finance Committee to order at 8:01. First, I just want to let everyone know I'm going to hold the tie for this evening. We've seen a lot of emotion around the tie lately. We've seen a lot of concern. I've had several residents reach out to me that had some questions. Our job is to do our due diligence, so I don't want to rush this through. My goal is to vote it out of the committee in 2 weeks on the 24th, and then in front of the full council on the 7th. I have no intention of dragging my feet on this, but I want to make sure we can do our due diligence on questions that were raised. That being said, we'll move on to the next piece of business. From the docket of March 3rd, 2026, I entertain a motion to approve the funding of the cost items contained within the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Attleboro and the City of Attleboro Firefighters Local 848 IAFF for the period of July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029, fiscal 27 through fiscal 29.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. I'm actually looking to make a friendly amendment at this point. So I move to approve the funding of the cost items contained within the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Attleboro and the City of Attleboro Firefighters, Local 848 IAFF, for the period of July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029, fiscal 27 through 29, and the inclusion of such cost items in any proposed budgets to be presented to the municipal council prospectively.
Second.
Thank you. So the motion's in order, and this is a friendly amendment, and this came at, after speaking with the city solicitor, the city auditor, Mason. This just gives it a little bit more, more teeth to it. So it's pretty common. I know there were some questions raised. I asked Jen to pass out some of those questions surrounding this, but this is for the firefighters, so we want to get this through. Additional questions or concerns on this?
Would you be kind enough to read that amendment again?
Sure.
Just the amended part, please.
In the inclusion of such cost items in any proposed budgets to be presented to the municipal council prospectively.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any additional questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. From the docket of March 7, we're going to hold that. Let's see. From the docket of March 17th, 2026, I entertain a motion to transfer $15,000 from account 112410000-578300, citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 112110000-511000, mayor's salary and wages to replenish funds used for the earned time buyout for an employee in the mayor's office.
Second.
Thank you. This is for the legal secretary that recently retired, so thank you to Allison, wish her all the best, and thank you for her years of service in several capacities. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, from the docket of March 17th, 2026, I entertain a motion to appropriate $183,016 from account 1000-359000, undesignated fund balance, free cash, general government, to account 11241-000-521030, citywide streetlights, to replenish funds used to purchase Microsoft 365 and licensing along with system support, rather.
Excuse me. Second.
Thank you. Talked to Mason earlier about this. This is in line with the procurement process. This is for the one-year subscription for the Microsoft 350 concurrent licenses, as well as the implementation and migration. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Finally, from the docket of March 17th, 2026, I entertain a motion to transfer $11,400 from 11241-000-578300, citywide reserve fund for transfer, to account 112-11000-511100, mayor part-time, to fund the special projects coordinator position until the end of June.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. And this is just to continue to pay through the end of the fiscal year. A special projects coordinator, which is Barry Lacasse, who brings such an intense understanding and institutional knowledge of the city of Attleboro, who's able to help Mason with certain projects as well as other financial aspects of the job. So I think this is money well spent. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That's all the business for finance this evening. I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn at 8:06.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned at 8:06.
Thank you, everyone.